Instrumentalist.
I don't know. Don't care.
Okay, wait,
How
hang
do
on
you
a second.
define evidence?
No, wait, hang on. I'll tell you why that matters, and it bears on the evidence.
I want to know.
I am going to answer
how
that.
you define
I'm
evidence.
going to answer that. I'm going to answer that. The reason.
I was very explicit and correct.
Wait
so
1 second.
He says I'm wrong, so he's going to have to give me the correction. What is the actual definition?
Sure.
How are you defining evidence?
Sure. It depends on whether you are a scientific realist or a scientific instrumentalist.
How do you define evidence?
So let me explain. If you're a scientific realist, then that would mean.
How do you define evidence?
Aaron, 1 second. If you're scientific,
is this a difficult question.
Wait, Aaron, relax. If you're a scientific realist, then that basically means that evidence for you is the evidence from science. Whatever you observe, whatever you see, whatever theories come up with, you believe that the unobservable world is the way that science is actually describing. However, if you're a scientific instrumentalist, then you believe in the observable claims, but you don't believe in the unobservable claims. This is also known as constructive empiricism. So when it comes to evidence, it matters whether you're a realist or constructive empiricist. Now tell me, as a philosopher of science, you're doing PhD, right, or something like that.
How do you?
Tell me this, right?
No, in philosophy of science.
Okay.
No, so you'll know more than me.
Right. So look,
how do you define it?
If I'm a scientific instrumentalist, then evidence for me means something different for a scientific realist. Now Aaron says, I don't know. I don't think you know the difference between the two, to be honest.
No, I don't.
No, if you don't,
because I don't.
Relax, he can speak for himself.
Don't accept me to...
Relax, he can speak for himself. So, if you're a scientific realist and you're a scientific instrumentalist, evidence is going to mean two different things for you. That's what I'm saying.
I don't understand this argument at all.
I know you don't. I know.
I asked you how
That's
you
what I'm trying to
define
educate you.
evidence. I did not get an answer.
I did give you the answer.
Yeah.
The answer was, it depends whether you're an instrumentalist or a realist.
How do you?
How
do you define evidence?
Sure. Okay. So the way I define evidence is based upon my view, and the view that I hold. The view that I hold is that of constructive empiricism, and it has a subset view called selectionism. So I believe in the view of selectionism. Now, selectionism basically says this: we believe the claims about observables that scientists make, but claims about unobservables we do not accept. We are agnostic about them. Now, this view of selectionism, this was first proposed by Bas van Frassen, he's a philosopher of science, and this view was then developed by Brad Ray and others. And what this view basically says is this: if you look at science, there are some constraints in science which stop it from achieving truth, which fall short of it achieving truth. He can speak for himself. I'm speaking to him. I'm not speaking to him. I'm only, look, one second. I am not sharing my view. I'm sharing the view of philosophers of science. Let me explain that. You can challenge that. Look, I'm here to talk. Look, to be honest, I'm here to talk to Aron, not you.
Yeah, well, we can all talk whenever we feel.
That's fine.
When we had our debate.
That's fine. One sec. I'm answering your question. One sec. I'm answering your question. Aaron,
your entire tactic throughout that debate was to redefine.
I'm answering your question
incorrectly.
Aaron,
so
but
Aaron,
I'm answering your question. Let me complete your question. Your question is this:
Darwinism as something that never was.
Wait, hang on. Don't try and change the topic. We can go to that. Okay. So when it comes to selectionism, the reason why selectionists believe that science doesn't achieve truth but only achieves instrumentally useful theories.
What is truth?
Well, truth is, it depends how you define it, because there's different definitions.
But
yes,
so that's why
you could have. Hang on. One second.
Exactly.
Look, wait.
So he's supporting my position that the truth is what the facts are.
You asked the question. Let me answer it.
Science can achieve facts.
No,
right?
so Aaron, listen for a second. I'm answering your question. You ask me, and you keep interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you. So here's the thing. You asked about why I believe so selectionism. Here's why I believe in selectionism. The problem of unconceived alternatives. Science works by having a web of theories which fit in, and those web of theories, they have unconceived alternatives, unconceived theories, unconceived observations, unconceived predictions. So because of this reason, what science gives us is not truth, but gives us
the truth is what the
correspondence
facts
theory. Correspondence theory. 1 second.
So we can verify things that
Aaron,
are true.
I'm just about to finish.
Okay.
So the view I subscribe to is a view in the philosophy of science known as selectionism, and that view basically says we are going to be agnostic about unobservables. Now, if you're attacking me, you need to attack the philosophers of science and write papers against them. You can't just say what the view that I hold is wrong.
We've already established the truth is what the facts are. Science can achieve things that are true. Science can determine what is true.
I don't think you listened to anything I said.
What?
I don't think you listened to anything I said.
I wish I hadn't, but I had.
That's why.
Okay, so tell me this. Tell me this. I spoke, Aaron, you make popular YouTube videos, you've got millions of hits, and you don't know the basics about instrumentalism, realism, constructive empiricism, selectionism, constraints. You don't know none of
Those
this.
are philosophical. I'm not interested in philosophy.
So if you're not interested in philosophy, why are you talking about metaphysics? Why are you talking about the existence of God? Why are you dismissing all of philosophy of science?
I specified scientific evidence.
And by the way, listen, here's the thing. If you understood the philosophy of science, you wouldn't be making the statements you're making now. That's what I'm saying.
Bring in metaphysics.
And all I'm saying is
So if
it's
you're saying that,
Sorry?
but that
All
doesn't
I'm saying
support
is
God,
it's
you're doing- that's a
Is what?
metaphysical
is that you are wrong. Still,
Wait, hang
as
on.
always.
Hang on. But why am I wrong?
No, but metaphysics is
Because you're
talking
trying.
about
Okay,
ultimate reality.
you said that science doesn't achieve truth.
So if you're
which
saying something
it
doesn't
does.
correspond to reality,
So challenge the philosophers of science and say it doesn't.
God does not
Okay,
correspond
but we
with reality.
established the truth is what the facts are, right? I had all that we needed to do.
Correspondence theory of truth, fine.
All we had to understand was what you mean by truth. These guys say truth is what conforms to reality. The truth is what the facts are. Then your statement is wrong. Using that definition.
So are you saying selectionism is wrong?
You then have to bring in certain.
No, I don't know anything about selection.
Exactly.
It may be right. I may be in the same position that you are because the way you describe it sounds like what I subscribe to.
No, but you believe in scientific. It sounds like you believe in scientific realism.
Why? Because I would have thought that I believed in empiricism.
No. Okay, Aaron, like this is getting really silly now, right? Empiricism, scientific realism, two different
think it was silly
categories.
as soon as you got
No, it's two different categories, right? They're both empiricism.
Okay.
For you to think scientific realism is something different to to empiricism is two different things.
Give your descriptions again.
Okay, scientific realism, scientific instrumentalism.
And what are they?
Okay, scientific realism is we believe in claims about observables that scientists make, and we believe in claims which are made about unobservable entities, structures, and processes.
Can you give me an example?
Okay, so for example, who would be a good?
Give me the other one.
Oh wait, no, hang on a second.
Because I don't think that's
no.
Give me the other.
Okay. So when it comes to general relativity says time and space is flexible. And it also makes other sort of claims, and you have claims, for example, in quantum mechanics about the Copernican interpretation and this interpretation, and that many worlds want.
Okay.
So a scientific realist would say, when scientists are talking about the unobservables, entities, structures, and processes, they are talking about actual things, right? So that's realism. The second view is scientific.
There are people who think that we're talking about God is not real.
No. I'm talking about scientific realism and scientific instrumentalism. Okay, now tell me whether you agree with scientific instrumentalism. Scientific instrumentalism says this. We believe in claims that scientists make about observable entities. But
I don't like the term believe in either case, but go ahead.
I'm just giving you philosophical definitions.
Okay, yeah, I don't like those.
Okay, I know you clearly don't. So claims about unobservables, entities, processes, and structures, we are going to be agnostic about them. We're not going to say they are true. We're not going to say they are false. We're just going to remain agnostic about them. Now, I've given you two divergent views, and there's some views in the middle, right? Now, which ones do you subscribe to? Instrumentalism. Yeah. Now, if you believe in instrumentalism, what you're basically
believe in.
Okay. Do you subscribe to it?
Yeah. I think that more
Okay, you subscribe to it. Then that basically means when scientists are speaking about natural selection being a creative force for the generation of. Okay, fine. Forget look. Forget.
He said he had evidence of God.
Wait, hang on. I'm not.
I specified I was talking about scientific evidence, and I asked him for that.
I'm not changing the topic. Just give me a second. When scientists are talking about unobservable entities, processes, and structures, they are not saying something which is true. They are saying something which it might be true or might be false. They're agnostic about it. So if you're a scientific instrumentalist, that means Darwinian evolution, which you support.
And what do you think Darwinian evolution?
Wait, hang on.
Because this is where it gets funny.
Hang on.
I'm serious.
Hang on. Wait, hang on. That basically means you don't believe it to be true if you're an instrumentalist. So that basically means this whole time I was Aaron. You know what you just did? I made a little hole. You walked into it.
No, I didn't.
You just admitted you're a scientific instrumentalist.
If you want to call that admission.
You did say that. You did say that. That means you believe science doesn't give you truth, but gives you instrumentally useful theories.
Oh no, but it can show what is true.
Don't deny that. But that means that your claims about science gives you truth is false.
As I said to him earlier,
Wait.
you can't prove a hypothesis to be true, you can't prove a hypothesis to be true, but you can prove it false.
That's not true. That's not true. One second, Aaron, let me explain. You're referring to Popper's falsificationism, which scientists have moved away from. They've actually moved away from that. You're like 40 years out of date.
Except that they're still teaching.
Because philosophers of science have moved on to scientific holism now.
Scientific holism?
Holism,
Is this every scientist? Is this a
No, these are.
consensus
Wait, listen. You're not important. He is. Huh? Let me speak to him.
Oh well, man, you just is that
the guy who owns the cameras?
Look, he's trying to help you. He's trying to help you. You're not going to get help today. You
You don't know what my
ain't
perspective
going to
is.
get help
I
today.
actually want to learn.
Salaam alaikum.
How you doing?
Okay.
What's the issue, man? What's the problem?
So he said he had evidence of God. We are talking.
Are you not gonna acknowledge the fact that you just fell in a hole?
No. You can't
just
show me
deluded
that
them.
I fell into a hole.
Because you just agree to scientific instrumentalism.
Okay.
Right? And that basically means you don't believe science gives you truth but instrumentally useful theories.
Okay, even if that's the case.
That is the case.
Even if that's the case, it has no relevance.
So we're going to swiftly
our
move on.
discussion.
We're going to swiftly move on.
It has no relevance to our discussion.
It does.
How?
It does. Because what you believe in is science can give you truth. And I just took you all the way around to showing you that you just contradicted yourself.
Okay, so call it a contradiction then. How is it relevant to our discussion?
Well, how it's relevant is from a contradiction, anything follows. So since you contradict yourself and you're happy with having a worldview which has contradiction, you can make any claim.
Okay. I don't know.
By the way, that's a
but
principle in
we
philosophy.
were talking about-
From a contradiction, anything follows.
Again, we were talking about truth being what the facts are, what we can show to be true, right?
Yeah, and the conversation moved on to science and the philosophy of science, which you dismissed.
Right.
And I
So-
showed that you
so
accepted
getting back-
scientific instrumentalism, which, by the way, you need to delete all of your YouTube videos about Darwinian evolution being true.
Should probably give
Have
her
fun with your word salad.
Okay,
But that's still not relevant to what we were talking about.
Of course it is. Because,
course it
look,
isn't.
the reason why I came in is, look, I didn't even know this guy, right? But what I do know about him
You
is
don't
this.
know me either, by the way, mate.
I don't really
And
know.
You're making assumptions about what I think.
Look,
in a rather rude way.
I'm out of here because
You're
I'm
out
not
of
playing philosophical word
Cool,
salad.
man. Well, I had a good discussion
Wait,
with
hang
you
on,
anyway.
Josh.
Thank you.
You know.
I thought we did.
Yeah.
I thought we did.
Josh, your point,
seems
I
to
came
go
in.
so far now, doesn't it?
Wait, Aaron, what's going on?
What's going on? I'm not playing philosophical word salad.
Can we finish our conversation?
We're
please?
running.
You're running, yeah. He got you in America, now he's being.
It seems I'm not allowed to. I'm not
Look,
important enough.
I
to have
handed
a
him his
discussion
ass,
with COE.
and he redefined
He destroyed
everything.
guy.
you. He destroyed you in America.
why are you walking in and out?
I want to talk about
Why?
Because I saw that
hang
you
on, hang on,
uploaded,
hang on.
you
Let's-
uploaded that video of our debate as if you'd done well.
He did.
I was stunned. You sucked ass. You redefined everything wrong. Tell him what is Darwinism? Is Darwinian evolution a fact? That was our
I'm not
debate.
important enough to talk.
So
Okay.
let's hear his definition of a fact, and let's hear his definition of Darwinian evolution, because his
Subject
definition
change.
are his own definitions.
we get back
They
to
are
our-
not the definitions of science.
All right.
So he redefined everything wrong,
Come on, Mr.
and I proved that.
I don't think you did.
Can I respond?
Debate.
I did.
I
Can
did
I
prove
watched
it.
it
Can
twice.
I respond?
Can I respond?
I think
Can I
you
respond?
got your ass kicked.
Yeah, respond. What
Okay,
is
respond.
Darwinian evolution?
Okay. So your question is, what is Darwinian evolution and what is a fact?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I didn't interrupt you when you made
Hold on. What is a fact?
I would say a proposition that corresponds to reality.
I don't like proposition. I would like.
Aaron, can I respond to you? Look, he's not going to help you. He's not going to help you. He's definitely not going to help you. All right? Let me just speak to you. So you're saying the fact. What is a fact?
What is a fact?
Now,
Yeah. Now,
in-
are we talking in science?
Aaron, I'm not going to interrupt you.
Are we talking in science?
Can you let me speak?
Seems there's a lot of ego at play here,
Are
isn't
we
it?
talking about science?
Seems that we're not
Let me
interested
complete
in
my
actual
sentence
discussion, isn't it?
She's not going to answer. Okay.
Okay. When we're speaking about fact, the first thing which I want to speak about is what philosophers define fact as, and then we're going to get to science. Okay? So, one of the first problems in the philosophy of science, in fact, there's a paper which is called "Is the First Problem in Philosophy What is a Fact?" That they basically claim it is, and there's a whole bunch of different definitions. However, there is a generally agreed upon definition in science. Now, my first video, which you responded to, which I made on Darwin Day, around that period, right, in 2016, I basically said right at the beginning, Darwinian evolution, if it's defined as a fact from a philosophy point of view, that fact is something which you can define as absolute, doesn't change, and cannot be changed because of future observations, then it's not a fact. However, in the same video, I said if you say a fact is a generally prevailing theory in science, is a theory which is subscribed by the majority, or it is a valid. Wait, hang on, 1 second. One second, Aaron.
So that first definition of fact, I don't agree with you.
Okay, I'll explain why.
The second one is wrong.
Wait, hang on.
I don't know about second one, I'm saying philosophical.
No. Why I said it was this. Look, too many things going on, but let me just explain. In philosophy, there is a massive discussion about what is a fact. So therefore, whenever you speak about a fact, you need to define what you're speaking about. So in that paper, which is published by Cambridge University, it speaks about what is a fact. And what it goes on to say is this: whenever you speak about a fact in a particular context, you need to define it clearly, then speak about it in a different context. A fact may mean something else. So in the beginning of my video, I said this is the way I am defining a fact for the purposes of this discussion. And I said, and that's the definition I used, which I'm allowed to do.
Which one?
Which I said was something absolute, something that's not going to change, and something that can't be revised, right?
That's not a fact, though.
No.
I mean,
Hang on, I don't.
No, but in philosophy,
Wait.
metaphysics, that is not a definition.
Yes,
of fact.
and that's why I said.
A definition of fact is either what I said, a proposition that corresponds to reality,
No,
or
No.
an obtaining state of affairs. That is not.
Okay,
how
look,
they define
I
fact.
don't think you're clear on what I'm trying to say.
Wait till you hear how he defines Darwinian.
Wait, hang
No,
on.
but I'm just saying. I agree with you in a lot you're saying. But I'm
No,
saying fact is not defined
Josh,
in metaphysics
Josh,
in that
what
way.
I'm saying is this. In that paper it says, fact can be defined in many different ways. So therefore, in a context when you're speaking, you need to specify what you're speaking about. Do you understand? So for the purposes of that discussion, I used it in that way. I could use the word truth, I could use a different term. For the purposes of that discussion, it doesn't mean that in philosophy there's only one definition, because according to the paper which I just referenced, there is no one definition. And that's what you're saying, okay? Now, the definition of Darwinian evolution, what is the definition? Now, Darwinian evolution can be defined by whether you look at pre-modern synthesis or post-modern synthesis, or later on the extended synthesis.
Still repeating the same error.
Wait, hang on 1 second. Aaron, let me complete. So whenever you speak about Darwinian evolution, you need to define what you mean.
Evolution? Why are you specifying Darwinian evolution? What's the difference?
Philosopher Jerry Fodor, who's a philosopher of science, philosopher of biology, he defines it in this particular way. He says Darwinian evolution has two twin theses. It has a phylogenetic history, the tree of life, and natural selection being the primary mechanism to drive that evolutionary change.
That's wrong too.
So Jerry Fodor's wrong?
Yeah.
So philosopher of science is wrong?
No, the primary mechanism is genetic drift. That is primary.
The primary...
Yeah, that's the primary.
I'm shocked you're saying this.
No,
And you're on YouTube. Are you drunk or something?
So all you're going to
You're telling me did Darwin write about genetic drift?
Darwin didn't know about genetic
Exactly.
drift.
So Darwin's main idea
So Darwinian
was natural
evolution-
selection.
So Darwinian evolution refers only to what Darwin himself proposed.
No.
Right? The Darwinian
No.
mechanisms, natural and sexual
Wait,
selection.
hang on, Aaron.
So that-
You're really embarrassing yourself here.
No, I'm not.
You're saying the primary driver of evolution is genetic drift.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what I want you to do? I want you to go down the road to the Royal Society. You've just discovered something amazing, because according to them, they believe Darwin was right. Natural selection is the primary driving force. Of course, some of them disagree,
Darwin was right, and in his time he didn't know about genetic drift.
but Aaron, you're saying genetic drift is the primary factor?
Yes. Yes.
You need to write a paper, and you need to
don't
challenge
need
all the
to- I don't need to
Darwinists,
write another
because
paper.
you just made two. No one's talking to you, yeah? You just made two grave errors. Yes, it is.
I can
Yes, it
sabotage
is.
the conversation as
You
well,
could
mate, if
try.
I feel
You could
like
try.
it. I can.
You could try.
Because
Actually,
you're being rude to everybody around here, and that's not the
So?
nature of the... So?
I'm not talking to you. Because you're interrupting me. I'm talking to him.
So what he did,
I wasn't talking to you.
what he did in our debate was to
I'll
redefine.
sabotage the combo if you want, mate.
You can help him, but he's looking desperate right now. He's looking desperate right now.
I really want to have good discussions, man.
I know. And I know you're...
You're wearing sunglasses on a sunny day, on a cloudy day.
I'm not supporting everything he's saying either.
So what he did was to redefine Darwinian evolution
According to what philosophers say.
into macroevolution.
No.
And And what was the word you used for microevolution? Because you didn't use microevolution.
I don't even know if you're sober right now, to be
I
honest.
think you just used evolution for that, and then Darwinian evolution became the macroevolution argument. So Darwinian evolution was known to be the things that Darwin himself postulated, which was natural and sexual selection.
Wait, hang on. You just contradicted yourself.
And no, I
You
didn't.
just said
not.
natural and sexual selection, and before you said the primary force is genetic drift.
That's correct. Both statements are indeed
Again,
correct.
do you know how you're being consistent? By
Yes.
being inconsistent.
I'm
First you were
not being
inconsistent
inconsistent.
about instrumentalism and realism, and now you're inconsistent about natural selection being the primary force and the genetic drift.
Because I'm a bit confused. Because when you said
Darwin didn't know about genetic drift. He knew that natural selection acted on differences. He didn't know the source of the differences. It turns out the source of the differences is genetic drift, and that is actually the primary, because you can have quite a lot of evolution without any natural selection or sexual selection even being involved. That's what makes it primary.
It's not. Wait. Hang on, Aaron. Tell me this, right? If what you're saying is right, why is it that the scientific and the philosophy of biology literature doesn't reflect that?
You're going to assert that it doesn't, and you have asserted.
I'll tell you.
All you've
I'll
done-
give you evidence that it doesn't. I'll give you evidence that it doesn't. Michael Roos is a philosopher of science. He's an atheist, so yeah, there's no
We have
trouble.
to have another citation. Some famous philosopher, some famous somebody
what's
says
your-
something.
So what do you want? You want me to quote Mohammed Ajab, or you want me to quote that guy with the
I'm
hat?
not having to cite anybody else.
But you should cite someone if that's the natural science, right?
Well, then let's do this online where I can look up everybody's name.
Okay,
and just
so
say,
why do you give us? Why do you give it? Why do you?
Otherwise, I'm giving the evidence directly. I'm explaining how it works.
Aaron, why do you give us evidence that genetic drift? Give us a citation. Genetic drift is the primary force.
Why do I have to give a citation? We're talking directly. I'm
Making a
explaining
claim.
it.
You're making-
I'm explaining it to him.
So give me evidence for that.
I just did.
What's
So-
the evidence? You said so.
Your word.
Do you accept that humans have an average of 128 mutations per zygote?
Yeah, they could do.
What?
They could do.
They could do. Okay, so you accept it. So I mean, this type of variance occurs in all organisms, right? And this is the source of genetic drift, right? You understand that if you put a population...
It's not the source of genetic drift. Genetic drift is a force. You're conflating
and
terms.
The source of that variance is...
Okay, no, Aaron. What you're doing is you're making again another conflation, right? Let me explain what you're doing. Natural selection is the force. One second, Aaron. Random mutations is the fodder, which is the Play-Doh which natural selection shapes. Genetic drift is not a primary force. It is a secondary or tertiary force within the paradigm of Darwinian evolution. So you have genetic drift. You have
organism.
Wait, hang on. You have genetic drift. You have natural selection being the primary thing.
Nope.
You also have niche construction. You also have
we don't have natural selection as a primary thing. For the
natural
reason that I
selection
already
is the
explained.
primary thing.
That's what Darwin thought, and he was right that natural selection is a thing. But later it was determined.
Okay, have you heard of Francis Crick?
Yes, of course.
Okay, do you think Francis Crick knew what he was talking about? Or you know what you're talking about?
I did just explain how this works.
Okay,
You should
Francis
understand.
Crick, here's what he said.
He's got
Okay,
to quote
one second.
somebody again.
Okay, but you don't give any scientific evidence.
I do when we're in.
And you know what? Francis Crick.
explain the science
Wait,
to you.
hang on. Here's,
It doesn't do any
but
good to cite papers if
you
you
don't
haven't
like
read
the
it.
philosophy of
I
science.
said it.
You don't like the philosophy of science, so how can you explain the science? Francis Crick. Here's what he said about the blind watchmaker. Richard Dawkins wrote The Blind Watchmaker to explain the power of natural selection, not genetic drift. Natural selection being the primary force.
But you understand-
And one second, Francis Crick said, if you doubt the power of natural selection to be the driving force in evolution, then read The Blind Watchmaker, right? So you're challenging, you know Dawkins. Why don't you write to him and say he's wrong?
Do you understand that every organism has this variance, right? Genetic variance, these mutations. That these are the sources.
No
of
one
the
disagrees
variance.
with that. I don't think the tree disagrees with that.
Okay, I don't care about the tree. So you understand that any population of organisms, you're going to have this kind of diversity, right? And without natural selection even being involved, or sexual selection either, neither of the Darwinian mechanisms, neither one of them are necessary. You're still going to have evolution. Natural
You're
selection.
making a different claim now. The
I'm
earlier
saying
claim you made was it's
Genetic
not the
drift
primary
still
force.
right, because genetic drift still applies whether there's natural selection or sexual selection. So you don't need either of the Darwinian mechanisms to achieve evolution. That's true.
Aaron,
And it doesn't matter what somebody said somewhere.
but Aaron,
That's true, and
okay.
we can all understand that, right?
Okay, Aaron, here's the thing, yeah? if you're going to make claims like this, at least give...
Are you going to disagree with
I totally
just
disagree
said?
with that. And I gave you
totally
evidences for that.
That if you put a population of
No,
any
no, no, no.
organism,
I totally disagree that it's the primary force.
but if that force, is it a force now, or we agree to use the word force? If we're going to allow that genetic drift,
What do you call it?
it doesn't really matter.
The effect.
I mean, so I'm not going to
Whatever,
correct
the
you, I'm
effect of
saying
genetic drift.
not like he's doing me. So if you allow a herd of sheep out here, right, and you're going to have variation within those sheep, eventually we could even have a form of speciation without any natural selection or sexual selection necessary. So that makes genetic drift the basis, because that operates when the others even don't exist.
Okay, so now you're saying something different. Before you said it's not the primary force. Now you're saying, assuming natural selection is not there, evolution will still take place. These are two different claims.
That's true.
Are you not? How do you not understand anything I just said?
No, I did understand clearly exactly what you said.
Obviously not.
So you
didn't
wait, hang on a second,
understand
Aaron.
anything I said.
You need to listen to me because I'm not sure if you really understand what's going on.
Right, he's just going to insult me soon.
Guys, maybe
Well,
you just don't understand.
It's been a staple of this conversation since our friends and just rejected.
Aaron, if you're going to make claims, I'm going to challenge them. You can't accept me. You can't expect me not to challenge them.
You're going to deny that evolution is going to happen with just genetic drift. You deny that.
No, I totally agree with that.
Well, then, what are you saying that you disagree with me about?
Maybe we
What I'm
agree.
saying
That
is,
was the one claim I was making.
no, the claim you were making was it's the primary
Right,
force.
because it exists,
So genetic
and
drift
it operates even without the others.
Hang on.
The others
And
need... understand this. Without genetic drift, you don't have anything for natural selection to act upon. That makes genetic drift primary.
No, you're actually speaking about random mutations, not genetic drift right now.
Where do you think the genetic drift comes from? Is from the random mutations.
Random
That's why I
mutations.
said it.
Yes, but you're making a category mistake again, Aaron. You really
Am I
need.
making a category mistake?
Aaron,
Say why.
no one's going to help you out here, right? Aaron.
This is not going to get any better.
Can we draw like back to that?
But Aaron, it's because you don't understand the philosophy of science.
I'm going to take his place.
No, I'm saying, can we draw to like the existence of God? I mean, that was.
Look,
I mean, we're just.
Question, because in the beginning what you were saying, I wanted to actually, because I'll be honest with you, this is very technical for a lot of us, right?
Okay.
And so I want to bring it back to a point that you made, which maybe a lot of us more can relate with, which is the question of, because I saw your debate with Suboor, and it was a lot of semantics, like the question of what is a fact. Now, for the purpose of like,
Did you see? When I did the debate, when I showed what the actual definitions are and how he was misusing them,
I don't think he was misusing.
I can prove that he was, and in fact, I did prove
But
that he was.
You didn't know what fact is. You asked
my
Josh what
question-
fact
my
was
question
just now.
Now, when in the vernacular, in the common vernacular, right? When we say the word fact, what we mean is an kind of incorrigible truth, right? Now,
A point of data that can be objectively verified.
no, not that.
Okay.
I'm saying because verificationism is another issue.
What else is truth then?
No, because that's we're presupposing with that verificationism. I'm not presupposing.
I'm not going on verification. I'm saying.
So truth.
It's not a fact just because you say so. It's only a fact.
Aaron, let me ask you a question. Putting the word fact away, because I know it's a controversial word in the terminology.
It shouldn't be.
No, I know it is, because we're getting confused as to in what context.
Use
philosophy
true,
of science,
use true.
In science, what? So here,
Let's consider it. It's a
Let's
point
use
of
the
data
word true.
let's use
that is
let's
either
let's
not in
use. So
dispute.
okay, let's use truth.
Is indisputable.
Aaron, let's
Or-
use truth.
Is it true or not?
Let's divorce the word fact from our dictionary. Let's use the word true.
So
Do you believe Darwinian evolution is true?
like absolutely true, incorrigible.
No, true. Do you believe it's true?
Yeah.
It corresponds to reality.
Truth has a different implication than mere fact.
Okay, fine. But do you believe it's true?
The Darwinian evolution. What is Darwinian evolution?
But Darwinian,
I would define it.
Go, you define it.
as
You define
the
it.
mechanisms that Darwin came up with in the 1800s.
Go on.
You define it differently than any scientist.
No, that's not true.
That is
let's
true.
go with Aaron's definition.
Go with your definition. Is it true?
Is it true in that way?
That depends on what he means by Darwinian.
No.
Your definition. Your definition.
Okay, mine wouldn't be Darwinian.
What would it be
Mine would
then?
just be evolution. So he mentions
That-
Darwinism and.
So you wouldn't use the word Darwinism.
So okay.
No, I wouldn't.
Do you know Darwinism is an academic term?
Yes, and I know that it's only popular here in
That's-
the United States. Our scientists there don't use that.
So therefore, it can't be true. If it's defined two different ways, and one place is true, one place is not true.
because Darwinism is used in the United States to conflate with a religious belief.
Oh, by the way,
why-
you know that claim you kept making that it's not true in the United States? We don't use the term Darwinism. Totally false, because Jerry Fodor is an American philosopher of science.
But Suboor, I wanted to come back to this point because this question.
And plus, by the way, what you're trying to say is academia, because we have this massive sea across us, the UK and the USA, we somehow lose an academic term. That's total nonsense, Aron.
I was
It looks kind of silly.
explaining that the reason that most
how
of
do
our
you-
scientists
how
have
do you
stopped
define-
using Darwinism is because it's conflated
That's not
with
true.
religious.
That's not true either.
It is, and I have citations.
Can you give me
for
the
that.
name of one American scientist who believes in biological evolution but doesn't accept the term Darwinism?
I can name several.
One.
Okay. What the? Not plate. God, don't you hate it when the name you need is right on the top of your head? Fuck. Paleontologist, University of California. I can't remember.
And you're saying he does not accept the term Darwinism, and you're willing to
Well,
say
he
that.
understands. He doesn't use the term Darwin. It's not that he doesn't accept it.
So he doesn't use it.
The reason that we don't in the United States is because it is being used to conflate with religious belief. So they treat Darwinism as if it is a religion. So in the United States, where this tendency is common, we stray away from that word. Just like we don't want to say that we believe that evolution is true, because believe also has been taken to mean make-believe. So we have to say we think.
Aron, this scientist, let's just call him Mr. Gray.
But you can name
Mr.
others.
Gray.
He said several.
Wait, hang
He said
on.
several.
All right, Mr. Gray and his caravan full of other scientists. You're telling me if they came here to Speaker's Corner, they wouldn't accept Darwinism as an academic term?
They wouldn't use the word Darwin.
No. Would they accept that it exists?
Well, they would accept
There
that
you
it
go.
exists,
That's
yes.
all my point is. That's all my point is.
I don't think you had a point.
Just going back to the point, because for me, no, because what I wanted to, which side?
So, what I would describe as evolution, right? Which he divided macroevolution and macroevolution.
I didn't make those definitions. If you remember, I said I don't believe in those.
I understand.
You don't believe in it.
He redefined them, so he put them in different categories.
And do you know evolution was used before Darwin? And I did mention that, which is why Darwinian evolution is different.
Yes, I understand that too. Irrelevant though that interjection was. So what he did is he redefined so that the macroevolution category became the Darwinian evolution.
I never heard him do that today.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, not today, in our debate.
No.
You saw it.
Even in the debate, one thing I made clear is I'm speaking about the academic definition of
You have to
Darwinism.
define terms.
The academic definition.
Okay, show
Because in one of your own videos, you spoke about Lamarckian evolution, right or wrong?
Yep.
You did. So Lamarckian evolution is different to Darwinian evolution, is it not? So why am I wrong for using the term Darwinian evolution?
I said that we tend not to use it in the United States for the reasons that I gave.
Okay, so tell me this.
You then,
Okay.
and that you then chose Darwinian evolution to mean not what Darwin proposed as opposed to Lamarck, and not what what Darwin's mechanisms were. You used Darwinian evolution as a replacement for macroevolution.
No, I didn't.
Because you said the phylogeny.
I didn't. Look.
So you divided the process from the phylogeny. So you wanted to create an illusion
Okay.
that there's two
Okay.
different
Okay.
things,
Wait. Hang on.
which is basically the division
Okay.
between microevolution and
No,
macroevolution.
it's not. So look, when I gave the definition of Jerry Fodor, he said that there are twin ideas within Darwinism. One is the tree of life, one is natural selection as the driving mechanism. That's the definition I used.
To divide microevolution and macroevolution.
Not micro and macro, because Aron, you can
With
have...
Darwinian evolution, you gave a different definition.
Aron, look, let me ask you this question, because I don't think you're getting this. If we ignore the tree of life and replace it with the web of life, you can still have macroevolution. So it's irrelevant the tree of life is there, or the web of life is there, or the hedge of life is there.
What is macroevolution?
Well, it can be defined in many different ways.
It
but
can be defined one way.
Not
the way.
No, wait.
And
hang
I
on.
can prove the way.
Okay.
But what do you think?
Okay, wait. If you go by one of the basic definitions of species, right? So if you say biological isolation, so there's biological isolation between this species and this species. Now, going back in their history, both of these species actually, which are geographically isolated, they can't reproduce. They go back to a common ancestor. That would be macroevolution.
The correct definition is that microevolution is variation within a species, that being the varieties within breeds.
You say macro or micro?
Micro is variation within a species, that's within a breeding population, so subspecies classifications or breeds. Macroevolution is variation between species.
That's what I just said.
At or above the species level.
That's what I
Is
just
that
said.
what you
So
said? Is that what he said?
He tried to go convoluted and
No, but
backwards,
that is what he said. That's
That is
what
what I
I
said.
understood.
Okay, so he wants. Okay.
But you being a scientific instrumentalist, you wouldn't agree with the phylogeny anyway, because
we're on
because you
point of
believe in.
agreement.
But remember, a scientific instrumentalist, which you subscribe to, would say unobservable entity structures and processes are not speaking about truth. We have to be agnostic about them. So you're going to be agnostic about the tree anyway. So that means your phylogeny project you need to throw out. Sorry?
I think I'm kind of agnostic about everything, but I mean, we can verify.
No, I'm talking
We
about
don't
in
ever talk
particular
about
scientific
absolute
instrumentalism.
proof. We don't prove anything absolutely. But
Really?
Right at the very beginning.
yeah,
We don't prove
Right,
anything
very
absolutely. Do you want me to bring up your video title, Aaron? Do you want me to embarrass you right now?
What is it?
Is it about egos or is it about actually having a good discussion, man?
That's important for
It's about fact.
That's sorry?
It's about fact.
It's about egos, man. You're saying he wants to embarrass them. He's not interested in the
more
truth.
generic kind of discussions.
Wait, what did the guy just say? Yeah, we don't know anything for true. Evolution is absolutely a fact. There we go.
That is
There
true.
we go.
You just contradicted
Third
yourself.
contradiction. Can you get that in there?
I'm a bit confused. Because
You got it, yeah?
the question is,
I want to know how he explains it.